Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Clocking In, where we clock in to talk about the Pit because you don't just watch the Pit, you have to clock in for it. And of course, when I say we, I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about Chase Oliver. Chase, how are you doing this fine evening, morning? You and I are recording this late in the night because that's what it takes sometimes to make sure we bring this to the people. But how are you doing at this moment?
Doing well, man. New episode of Pitt dropped obviously today as we're recording. So Friday I'll be watching that before I clock into my own job. But yeah, I'm excited. Gonna clock
Yeah.
into 2K26 too after this.
Yeah, you talked me into purchasing it. So I too am waiting for the download to
I didn't talk. Triple H did. He said, "You gotta buy the King of Kings edition, John. That's the edition you gotta buy." So now you get to look at Triple H every time when you load up the game. You don't see Punk, you just see the game.
I don't appreciate Hunter doing that.
It's all about the game and how you play it.
But we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to break down here as we clock in for the Pit. Season two started off with like not like a crazy bang, but like enough of a bang that it was like, okay, there's going to be some interesting things that are going to be happening this season. And the second hour, the 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Time period doesn't disappoint in continuing to be interesting, continuing to bring the drama that we all know and love from the Pit. So we have starting off like we ended on that cliffhanger of the baby. We come like back to the Pit and with more information about the baby. The tests confirm it's healthy, but Al Hashimi does not disclose. Like she doesn't really say like what was the issue, like why she was being all weird with this baby. And we kind of sort of like there's not that much to kind of go off of because of that. It sort of is like a tease for the future of what's going to happen with Al Hashimi. Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's information we're not getting, and that's kind of a good thing, right? Like to keep things sort of that mystery of it going. So as she's going, as we move from her, we continue onwards in the episode, and then we have Alan Billings. This is he shows up to the Pit because he's injured from a fall. Um, it was kind of a gross like the Pit is famous for having that
Mm-hmm.
situation, but like that bone, like the bone scene, like
Mm.
oof. I knock on every form of wood I can find. I have never broken a bone. I fractured a rib because a baseball hit me really hard. I was not expecting back in high school. I cracked a rib, and then I cracked another rib later in life, when I was in New York. But like I've never broken a bone, and I've never had anything happen like that, and I pray to God I never do. But they figure out how to get this guy's bone like where it needs to be, and Mel is, her mind is not on her game. This deposition is still bugging her, and it's still causing some issues. And she's saying that she's upset about this malpractice deposition. She's talking to Robbie about it. Robbie's trying to console her, and she she returns to a patient like kind of a little bit better, and the patient is sort of flirting with her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and she has no real like she kind of doesn't really know what's going on like about this. But then the patient sees police officers, gets spooked, runs out, kind of knocks her down, and that is really like it's sort of just we're compounding issues for poor Mel. We're just adding things on. But the real kicker, like the real thing from that, is she needs to get treated herself, like at least
Yep.
checked out. And it's none other than Langdon. And our guy Langdon on this path of recovery, on this road to recovery, he takes the time to tell Mel, what happened, that he was addicted or he still is addicted, but he's battling through the addiction, and he wants to apologize to her. And she, for somebody who really held Langdon in like such a high level of esteem, she really took that like not people she could have gotten really upset about it. Like this is my somebody that I looked up to, a hero of sorts, a role model that has kind of let me down. And Mel kind of rolls with it in the sense of understanding and accepting that everyone's human, people are going to make mistakes, and it's not
Yeah.
really a question of what you've done, it's how you grow from it. So what do you think about Mel's like kind of arc this episode, and sort of like how they're continuing to stack the pressure in the back of her mind about this malpractice deposition?
Yeah, it shows me the writers did not know what to do with Mel this season, in my personal opinion. They were just like, oh man, what do we do with Mel? Like they're trying to figure it out. They're like, man, popular, good character, solid, wasn't the most popular character, kind of quirky. Give her a deposition. Make it where she just worries about this 24/7. That's perfect. That's the storyline. And nothing like that. As we get to future episodes, you're going to be like, hey, why aren't you guys talking about Dr. Mel King? What is there to talk about? There's nothing to talk about besides this deposition that she's worried about. Like this is her arc. It's very, very, and I felt they rushed the Langdon revealing to her way too quick. Like I felt that's something like, because they built such a strong bond in season 1, and it's just like episode 2. Yeah, Mel, I was battling with addiction, and Mel's just like, look, I understand where Mel's coming from. There are certain people that you meet in your life, they can fuck up time and time again.
Yeah.
But you just love them for whatever reason. Like they're like they would have to do something so stupid to you for you to give up on them. And that's how Mel is with Dr. Langdon. She's just like, oh, that's all. Wow. And keep in mind, Mel and Dr. Langdon do not have this great relationship where it goes years and years. They met one day. And the first day Mel meets Dr. Langdon, he practically gets fired for, doing that. So Langdon has such an impact on Mel that Mel just loves Dr. Langdon. Like that's just it. Like there's certain people you meet in your life. It does not matter how long you've known them, how this, that, or the other. They just have an impact on your life. Some way, somehow, you just bond, you are connected. There's some weird connection. And for Mel, Dr. Langdon, for the one day that she knew Dr. Langdon, loves Dr. Langdon. So it is what it is. But yeah, I did like her flirting with that one guy. And then I thought it was a funny bit when he runs from the cops and stuff. We don't know what happens to this guy. We still don't know. Like, did the cops catch him or whatever? But yeah, I did like that bit. But other than that, yeah, this is Mel's arc. It's annoying. I don't like it.
Yeah. It's just like a funny thing because like we later will find out finally, like it takes a couple episodes of
we find out this episode tonight. This is like 7 episodes, dog.
No, we found out last week what the deposition was for.
No, we find out what we're going to find out the results tonight.
Oh yeah, I mean she's gonna sit for the deposition. I get that part, but I'm saying like we finally last week understood like what the deposition was about because it could have been about anything, right? Like meaning to say
in a couple episodes, like we're gonna find out episode 4. We ain't talking about this shit until episode 7, bro.
No, I guess what I'm saying is like we find out like in the sense of it could have been anything. It could have been something we didn't see from last season, right? It could have been something that happened in the interim. But when we do find out what this malpractice suit is, I'm like so angry on her behalf that I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But to Chase's point, we will get there. But one of the persons, Langdon is
in a couple episodes. So episode 4, we still won't talk about it.
Langdon is, he's trying to continue this apology tour, but like while Mel is willing to forgive, maybe not forget, but she's willing to forgive. Somebody who is really avoiding him is Santos.
Oh yeah,
Santos is like,
anything but talking to Langdon.
She's like, I don't have shit what to do with this man. And you know what? I think I like where you're coming from. This idea of Mel, like right in episode 2, like Mel, it's put like right in front of Mel, like this is what he did. I think to your point, if they had dragged it out of Mel finding out, then Mel could be trying to talk to Santos and be like, what's going on with you and Langdon? Why aren't you happy to like
exactly.
like this? And Santos is just like, have you tried being normal? Because like Santos is eventually going to say something stupid, and to be defensive about something, and just be like, "Have you tried being normal?" And Mel's like, "I am normal. What are you talking about?" Like they would have had that. But it just Santos is really going out of her way to try to avoid spending time, any kind of time around Langdon, but because of that, she sort of is a little bit shorter than she needs to be. She kind of go like, her and Javati have that like back and forth that they always kind of have, but now she's sort of adding in the fact or reminding Javati that Ogilvy is direct competition. So like she didn't really need to do that, but like then she's forcing these two to try to like go at each other's throats.
You got to have a battle for the cruiserweight title, John.
Listen, light heavyweight title. 205 live.
Yeah.
But also Santos then has to like she's continuing to figure out what's going on with Kylie, the 9-year-old girl. She came in with bruises in places she probably shouldn't have, considering what they told her was the cause of this specific trip to the ER. She starts to get concerned really that it could be an issue with the father, that there's some kind of abuse situation. We talked about this last week, where that's where her mind goes, that's where her mind jumps to, for good or for ill. And so now she really is trying to figure out what's going on. And so they reach out to the father to try to get him to come into the ER so they can have the conversation. So how did you feel about Santos's sort of like, not like going after Javati to try to take her mind off of the fact that Langdon's like, in her mind, Langdon's just like behind her, right? Like just wandering around. And then maybe do we think that she's sort of jumping to conclusions when it comes to this situation with this little girl?
Yeah, she's definitely like, we saw from what happened last season, and we still don't know what the father did or did not do. That's still like, that was a great part of that plot point from last season, was like it was all based onto your interpretation. You can only believe the evidence that they showed us on screen that the father probably did it, but at the same time, not enough evidence for us to really believe it. She is very much, jumping to conclusions, and like you said, like there's something that has happened in her past where, when it comes to women being abused, like she is just, that's her number one priority and stuff. So she is like there's a lot of things that go on in the pit. There's a lot of other patients, but she is hyper focused on this patient, making sure that this patient is okay and is not being abused, because there's bruises anywhere. And whatever thought of a doctor that she has is totally gone. This is like a very personal issue for her. And it's like something that, kind of like, it's almost like a setup that Santos is going to have some type of downfall this season, I think, in my personal opinion. Maybe there's something where Santos kind of gets sit down a little bit, because, she's making a like very, very critical error, not using her head and thinking, okay, what other things causes weird bruises? Like, could she have this? Could she have that? She is just thinking about, she's being hit, she's being hurt, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, use your brain a little bit, use your medical knowledge. Like, could she maybe have early signs of leukemia causes random bruising? Could she have something wrong with her blood that causes it? She's not thinking of anything like that. She's just thinking, I gotta find out the bottom detail. Like, she's getting too personal with this situation. She needs to stop being personal with a lot of these situations and use her doctor brain, because you've seen, we will see later on, like not in this episode, but in other episodes, she's making mistakes.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? Because like in some respects, obviously Robbie is our main character, but I think they realized how strong Santos is, that they kind of are sort of giving her much more interesting things to sort of be like a real secondary main character. And it's interesting because last year you could make an argument like it kind of was Wit to a certain extent. You could make an argument that it was Javati to a certain extent. And now it's a lot more Santos, and we're getting a lot more Santos stuff and a lot more interesting things happening to her, particularly because part of this job is the ability to work with other people. And we are sort of she is at the crux of whatever is issues with her and Langdon, also sort of her and Robbie, but she's at the crux of Langdon and Robbie. And that's sort of that overarching aspect that's in the background of the Pit throughout all of this. So then we turn to because of all this. I'm sort of saving Robbie's whole episode, like his stuff towards the end, just because it's got the best clash between him and Al Hashimi. So let's also talk about Wit. Wit is, unfortunately, he's still dealing with Evelyn. Her husband is the gentleman who had the
Burns.
Yeah, the don't resuscitate. And this is she needs to be told like every kind of 15 minutes that her husband's passed away. And it's crazy because like I think he does it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, I'm like, yo, what are we doing here? So like, but Wit, if Santos is kind of like the brains and of the Pit, in the sense of she has to deal with all these, like, you know, to your point, turn off this, turn on this side of the brain. Wit really represents like the heart and soul of the Pit. And so to see him having to deal with this, and then also like he's going a little bit back and forth with Ogilvy. Like how did you like Wit in this episode?
Yeah, Wit was solid in this episode. Didn't do anything to, like, besides like having to deal with the lady and reminding her like 3 different times that her husband's dead and stuff. And she goes, "No, not my Robert."
Yeah.
Oh God. And then she has to, it's the same lines. Like, this was the Pit definitely trying to get you to cry. They wanted you to cry during this part where it's like, oh, this is so sad.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't cry. I was more annoyed that they had to play this bit and stuff. Yeah, no, I didn't. This was, I have no emotional attachment to these 2 characters. They weren't in season 1. I don't have any reason to cry about that. It's sad, but I'm not crying over it. But yeah, no, Wit, it was just basic stuff. It was a basic plot point for Wit. It was like, you know, enhancement match. He went out there, he beat the enhancement talent. Good job.
See, and what I like about it is from time to time, like they kind of swap in different episodes who kind of gets what. Wit got or can get somebody that has like a funny situation. He especially got that in season 1, and in episode 2 of season 2, we have Slow-Mo who gets to like, you know, one is terrible from the sense of like it sucks that a human being's going through it. It's also sort of played for laughs for us, which is kind of a weird thing. But then she also has another patient that's just really played up for laughs. So the first one is a unhoused individual named Troy who hasn't he's been sort of on the streets for months, and this is he has a wound, and in order to clean the wound, they got to open up and see what's going on. And when they do, they find that it's infested with maggots. And I was fascinated from how they pulled this off. And it turns out those were real maggots, like it wasn't CGI, which, you know, one, kudos to the prop department for being able to build that whole setup. 2, props to the actor for not losing his fucking mind. With
an actual homeless person, bro. It's
what?
LA. They filmed this in LA. They probably found some homeless person.
I don't know about that. But
I'm being dead serious. They probably found some homeless person. Hey, man, give you a nice little paycheck. You can go do bum stuff afterwards.
Damn.
And he's probably like, yeah, that's cool.
Killing me here. Because apparently that's an actual actor from Breaking Bad. But okay.
No, okay. Oh, he's used to this shit. They probably put him through the ringer in Breaking Bad. Oh, some maggots. Who cares? They're probably like baby maggots, though. Like they probably can't cause harm if they're babies.
But yeah, he was in. Yeah, I've never watched Breaking Bad, so I don't know. But like,
what?
I've never watched Breaking Bad. Skinny Pete from Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, Skinny Pete went through some bullshit, and
that's the actor.
Show. Like in the early season, Skinny Pete did. He disappears like season 3, season 4.
But yeah, that's our gentleman with
one of Jesse's friends. You never watched Breaking Bad? That's insane.
I just never. I don't know. Something about it just never really appealed to me. I cannot give you a real explanation why.
Wow. One of the best shows. Have you seen Mad Men?
Yeah.
Then you like Breaking Bad. What are we doing?
Listen, I can't really explain it. It's just Breaking Bad just never really appealed to me. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say.
Well,
To be fair though, like as a concept, I love the 1950s and the 1960s from like the culture, the style of dress, that whole like, and so like the Fifth Avenue, the Mad Men, right? The
yeah,
advertising, like it
yeah,
just that appeals to me. Like that is an
yeah.
interesting just concept to me. But Breaking Bad, I'm just like, all right, so they're cooking meth, okay. like I'm like, he's got cancer, he's got to cook meth to save his family. All right, cool.
That's great. Great show. Could watch it.
but one of the other persons that Slow-Mo is treating in this episode is somebody who would be praying for Walter White in a different situation. It's a Sister Grace. She is a nun with a severe eye infection. After they realize it's not a hygiene issue, they're trying to figure out like what is going on. Like they're doing STD tests and things like that, and they find out that I had to look this up. It's something called a gram-negative bacteria. It's bacteria that, unlike gram-positive bacteria, do not retain the crystal violet stain used in a method of differentiation. But the long and short of it is that it's still a very like it's a very dangerous thing that needs antibiotics and things like that. But they realize that it's not a full like STD the way they originally thought it is. It's because she's been doing laundry for people at the convent, at the shelters that she's working at, but she's doing it without protection. So Samira, she gives her a box of gloves from the hospital to be able to take care of herself, because, and I think one of the things that does a good job is reinforcing the idea that caretakers need to be taken care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to be able to take the time out to recognize what it is that they need and to be able to address those things. Because, like, for example, Samir Mohan is struggling with this idea of, do I take this fellowship when my mom's going to be traveling? So it's like, if you can acknowledge that Sister Grace needs to be able to take care of herself in order to do the best job that she can, well, then Samira, you need to be able to do that too, and the others in the hospital need to be able to do that too. So for Slow-Mo, we don't really get that much outside of these two things. Like, there's not that much development for her for this episode. Was there anything that stood out to you for you from Slow-Mo's time in episode 2?
Nah, she was just
Yeah,
she was just there. Like
it was quick.
they just want Pitt does a good job. Like there'll be some episodes where characters are not focused, and it's like, well, just cut to them real quick, so that way we know people know they're still on the show. Like they just want you to know like who are the characters being focused on. So she just has a small little role and stuff. It's more of like, you know, you see the bit, and like when you get used to it, you just fast forward through it. Like that was Samira's portions of this episode. Unfortunately, you can fast forward it. This nurse is not coming back later. You're not going to miss anything because of it, so it's fine.
Well, we do have somebody who gets to sink their teeth into a couple things, and that is Dr. McKay. McKay has to deal with a patient that just she what's a good way to describe this? They're broke in essence. Like their insurance is not a good type of insurance that's going to be able to work with the hospital, or like there's just whatever issue there is that the hospital doesn't accept the insurance. And so because of that, they're going to have to transfer a patient that she's treating to a different facility. And this kind of does a good job of highlighting some of the problems that the US healthcare system has, and some of the problems if you don't have good health insurance and you don't have like top of the line insurance. And I'm personally lucky in the sense that I have insurance through my wife who works at a hospital. So like anybody in that hospital system, we're able to visit like without it's a much reduced rate. But there are people out there who, even despite paying good money, still don't have great health insurance. And this is an individual who I'm sure as a percentage is paying a good chunk of their money, their income, and they're not able to get the treatment that they want or that they think they need at the location that they want. And so McKay kind of has to deal with this business side of things, and it's like just that reminder that at the end of the day, this is a sort of a business first kind of thing, and it sucks because like you kind of like we as a society want to be like, okay, well, Hippocratic oath, like we have the duty of care, we want to be able to take care of people, but there still has to be a way that to pay all these people and things like that. So how all of that works. What were your thoughts on McKay's kind of like just what do we got to do here to figure out this business side of things? Because like also we're gonna have down the road Samira, like Mohan, dealing with the diabetic guy. So like there's gonna be that back and forth as well. So how did you feel about McKay's episode 2?
Yeah, no, a very strong episode 2 for Dr. McKay. Better than episode 1 where she was just like horny and everything like that. But yeah, trying to figure out how to take care of the patient, because like that's the hard part about being a doctor. You can help the patient, but ultimately, a lot of times when people don't go see doctors or do doctors, unfortunately, it is the side of health insurance is the reason why. Like, there's like not enough health insurance, or they don't have the money to, take care of themselves. Not everyone, gets lucky or be able to be on a care program or be able to get, the proper treatment and care that they need and stuff. So I did like what they did with Dr. McKay in this one. She's a very compassionate person, a very compassionate character. So she cares about people more than she cares about herself and stuff. Like they showed that in season 1, how much she cares about her son more than anything else, but not just her son, but the people around her son and stuff. And like, she's not a bad person. Like season 1, you would think like, because she had an ankle monitor on, she is a bad person, but she isn't a bad person. She made a dumb mistake, and she knows she made a dumb mistake. The thing with Dr. McKay, she is definitely someone that we know, like from season 1 and stuff, that she has a past of being reckless and not being a good person. So she tries her best as we see her and as her character progress to be a better person than who she was. Like she's never going to admit to herself that she's a good person, but she can always try to be a better person. And this was good character growth episode for Dr. McKay here.
Yeah, I really did like it because like it will sort of feel throughout the course of the season that she doesn't get that much to do. And so because of that, it's nice to have this sort of front loaded in a way that she's able to have for her. And we have somebody who is unfortunately getting front loading of work, and that's our last kind of comedic or levity before you and I get into the real nuts and bolts of this episode. And it's Javati, where she has to deal with some dumb shit because she keeps she's the eyeball doctor in essence of the Pitt, because she's I guess she's doing like TikToks or something like that, but like that she's like the most famous, one of the most famous doctors in the Pitt. And so like there's a person that Langdon is seeing in triage who has super glued their eye shut, and they want like Javati to be the person to do it because they trust Javati, where it's like Langdon is like Langdon's far more experienced than Javati, but it's like no, like we want Javati. But to go back to McKay as to help launch into the meat and potatoes of this episode, now that we've danced around the surface, we've danced around the surface with the other doctors. One of the things that McKay, when she's dealing with this individual, she gets to interact with Robbie on 2 different levels. The first is Robbie gets involved with a shoulder dislocation with McKay and Mel popping the shoulder back in before orthopedics kind of gets involved. He's already kind of over the fact that he's there, which is wild considering it's the second hour of a 12-hour shift or 15-hour shift. But it also makes sense because I've been checked out on the day before I'm going to go on vacation. So like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like,
those are the worst shifts when you like, I remember last year. So last year was a weirder situation for me. Like I had health issues, and pretty much I was never at work last year and stuff. And so like I was going to WrestleMania last year, and I was like, oh man, I'm so excited for this Vegas trip and stuff. I had one shift that I had to do before I had to go, but the thing was, I was planning on calling out. Problem was, because I was gone, if I would have called out, I would have been not terminated because I'm missing days, but because I didn't show up to work for 2 weeks. So I had to show up. I had to show up to the shift to not get termed. Otherwise, I have to get rehired and all this other crap. Not worth it. Not worth it. So I was like, fine, I'll show up. And I showed up, and I was so checked up. Did not want to be there. Just remember checking out checking out customers, just clock watching. Like I was clock watching like a maniac, and it just felt like I was like, oh my God. And then finally, when I was off, I remember too, they asked me if I wanted to extend, and I was like, no. No, I'm good. I'm going. No. It's the worst. Yeah, Robbie, he definitely, like, it's the second hour, and he's already thinking about the motorcycle. He cannot wait to go on his as many would call it, midlife crisis. But for him, it's a vacation. This is for him. He wants to be gone. He's excited for the sabbatical.
So he's so first McKay interacts with him there, but then she also interacts with him through the case manager, Noelle Hastings, she's the one that tells McKay, hey, there's an issue here with this guy's insurance, and so we're gonna have to move him to a different facility. And what I think is hilarious about this is she also, like, she meaning McKay, is kind of the one to see there's something going on here between this Noelle Hastings and everyone's favorite tribal chief, Dr. Robbie. It seems as though there's a little something there. And we have Noelle asking, Robbie to like stay one more night before the sabbatical start, kind of implying, they've kind of, a little something there. But okay, so actually, before we go any further, like, how do you feel about this Dr. Robbie in love or in lust, at the very least?
Man, I can't blame him. He has great taste. That woman was very, very attractive. I've seen her before. I don't know the actress's name, but I've seen her in TV shows before. Like, I've seen this woman before in a couple other TV shows. Maybe as a one-off character.
She was in 2 of the Hunger Games movies.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, they chose a good one and stuff about this, and Dr. Robbie, and of course Dana has to remind the person, like, hey, you be careful with this one. It's like, Dana, she's like the protective mom of all her children and stuff. She just wants to know, Dr. Robbie. We know a little bit about Robbie's love life. He has that one. He's like the father figure to one of his ex-girlfriend's kids, and then later on, the doctor that is no longer with us. Why am I forgetting her name? She left it. Yeah, Dr. Collins. She's gone from this season. So it's like, we know Dr. Robbie. He not even as Dr. Carter back in the day. Very, very good with all the women and stuff. But yeah, no, it definitely like that Robbie. It has a little love interest, little office crush and stuff, and it seems like the woman likes him too. So.
But one woman that does not like Robbie, or at least is starting to not like Robbie, is Dr. Al-Hashimi. And we started with her we started this recap with her talking about the baby, but it really, the meat and potatoes of this episode is her and Robbie and the clashing that is happening, because Al-Hashimi is really pushing this AI charting system, and it's sprinkled in throughout the entire episode that is going to kind of like, it can transcribe the consultations so everything moves a lot faster, at least on paper, or I guess on digital paper. She's really trying to get these guys and gals to use this, and to the point that she will be kind of getting on Santos's case down the road about charting. And it's kind of like, hey, like, it's this reinforcing thing to Santos. It's like, hey, if you use my AI app, you'd be able to catch up on your charting, right? And Santos will sort of be having this pushback against it. I wonder where she's getting that from. But we don't have to wonder because it's coming from Robbie, and there's this real push against him. This he's got like the gut instinct style of medicine. She's got like this sort of just new age sort of thing, like this technology thing. He's got the old school charting aspect. He doesn't want to trust her app. She's trying to say, like, you got to get with the times. We also have a situation where Whitaker's pointing out, like, hey, there's an issue there with this charting thing, and she says, yeah, like, it's not 100% accurate. And it's like, well, yeah, obviously it isn't, but like. And that's the thing. What I think is her mistake in the argument, because like I'm not necessarily supporting her argument. I'm just saying like how she should frame it is you're going to make mistakes too. Like there's human error as well if you were doing regular charting. So in this situation, like by having the AI, it's at least getting the dumb stuff out of the way so you can concentrate on the important things. And yes, that will sometimes require you to make sure that the right medication is listed so it's not, the wrong case. But on the whole, it will be beneficial for you. I think the problem is like she doesn't know how to frame her own argument.
Exactly.
And she can't get out of her own way in this idea of like sort of not like getting into like a huff and puff situation, but like doesn't know how to. It's like she doesn't know what she doesn't know sort of thing in the sense that she doesn't know how to not have the argument. So like this is kind of the push between the two of them. This is our like kind of in a normal TV show we'd say like it's the big bad or like it's going to be the heart of the season. In this season of the Pitt, at least as far as we can tell right now and as from the episodes we have seen, the issue is the back and forth about the AI.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about this situation between Robbie, between Al-Hashimi, and how it sprinkled in throughout how they worked it in throughout the entire episode?
Yeah, because you're going. Both these two doctors are both alphas. Like they both are alpha type A personalities. They are in control. And the thing about both these two doctors too, they're both stubborn in their own beliefs. Dr. Robbie believes one thing, you're not going to change Dr. Robbie on that. Dr. Al-Hashimi believes in one thing, you're not going to change your mind on it. And they need to find a compromise so that way both their ideas can work. But the thing with Dr. Robbie, he's not a compromising type. And Al-Hashimi, she seems more like a compromising type, but under her terms, like if it makes sense for her terms. And that's the thing. They're never going to see eye to eye on any situation. But, the one thing is they both care about the results of the patient. That's the one thing that they will see eye to eye on. It's about the patient and about the care for the patient. But, Dr. Robbie also looks at it from, hey, if they get what they get, they get taken care of. That's fine. Sometimes Al-Hashimi can be human, but sometimes she feels very, very robotic and how she feels towards things. And ultimately, Al-Hashimi is someone that, obviously she's being brought in as the attendee for a reason while Dr. Robbie's going to be gone on sabbatical. They're hoping, results go up with her. So that way, hey, Dr. Robbie, if you want to come back, I'm sorry, we don't have room for you anymore. We got Al-Hashimi and stuff. And, that's the thing. So it's like kind of like, Dr. Robbie, like he understands, like, Dr. Robbie understands, like, like he's not irreplaceable and stuff. Like people can be replaced at any job. It's like and stuff. No matter how good you are at your job, you're replaceable at the end of the day. Like that's just facts and stuff. So yeah, Dr. Robbie and Al-Hashimi, I really like that they're clashing about certain things, and especially it's a topic like AI where you have various different opinions about AI. People despise it, hate it. I know I follow people that hate AI with a burning passion. And I have people that love AI. As someone that works as a freelance marketer and have done marketing for companies, I'm like in the middle where it's like, hey, there is some good things that AI does provide. And especially if you're someone that, just needs AI's help with something. Because let's be real, AI has been a thing for a long time. Google is like an AI engine machine that we've been using as a search bar to find stuff, and it leads stuff to the algorithm. It's just how people feel about AI is like, if you use it for papers, TV shows, and scripts and everything, and especially with Hollywood, Pitt is a TV show. And one of the things that, Hollywood writers are afraid of is, hey, AI is going to take their job. So I can understand, from an actor's perspective, like, hey, this is a good topic to kind of tackle in a different type of field in medical, where there's a lot more important things to be done in the medical field and stuff, about health and keeping people healthy, and how AI can make its mistakes and stuff. Like, I kind of like how Pitt is more in the gray area with AI, where they're promoting, good things about AI, but also saying, hey, this is the bad things about AI. They're not completely shitting on AI. Like, they're presenting AI in a good, healthy way, but not completely shitting on it, like most other people have been doing, just shitting on AI and stuff. Like, I'm in the gray area with AI. I think there's some wonderful things about AI, but then also, yes, I don't like that AI steals designs from other artists, or writing from other art, or from people that write, or make these crappy videos and stuff. Even though I do find some of the crappy videos, but I sent you one. Mike Vrabel yelling at Stephon Diggs on Insta. I was dying laughing with it. It was so great. It was so great. I was laughing. Like, there's some AI videos. I like the little Pixar ones about like the sports videos. Sometimes those are funny too. Yeah. There's some pros and cons. I get it, where some people feel about it, but I like it because these two are clashing under different beliefs, and they're just both stubborn alpha personalities. And now these two have to figure out how to work together as they're trying to save lives in the emergency room. So it adds like that nice little tension between these two this episode. So no, I like them clashing. It's good. It's good for Robbie to have a foil for him.
Yeah, because it's like you can understand Robbie's issues, right? Because, like, to your point, it's really the question of what is the place that it has. Because it's I think that everyone's going to be involved is going to have a hard time excluding it. I think we as a society, even in medicine, are going to have a hard time excluding it. The question is, to what extent are we going to allow it in treatment of individuals, like, to the point that would we get to the point that AI, like, there aren't doctors in the sense of it's machines. Like, you walk into a machine, it similar, like, let's say, for example, like those the metal detectors at an airport. You walk into a machine like that, it scans you. It's taking blood pressure as best as it can, or it's taking heart rate. It's measuring all those sorts of things. It's taking your weight and so on and so forth. It's automatically calculating the estimated weight of your clothes. It's removing that from it so it gets your actual weight, and so on and so forth. And then it can just tell, like, sort of not like what's wrong, but like what you, and if you've already said like what you're coming in for, like, it can kind of figure out what it is that you need. Like, do we want that as a society? That's sort of the question that is at the heart of part of this season of the Pit. And maybe Al Hashimi is saying no, right? But, like, at the same time, does she understand what she's saying yes to? Because the same way that she is helping the ball get rolling to this level, somebody else can roll the ball further than she thinks is right, and then you've already let the door open. Whereas Robbie is kind of like, if we don't open the door at all, there's no way anything bad can happen. And so it is interesting, right? Because it kind of feels similar to the conversation that, and by conversation I mean more the letter that Steve Rogers leaves for Tony at the end of Civil War, where he's saying, like, my faith is in people to make the decisions, as opposed to other people, in this case, the government stepping in and telling people when and when they can't act. The government here would be the AI who's saying, this is what you're going to do and how you do it. And Rogers is like, well, even if we have human error, even if there's going to be fallibility, we at least own it and we can learn from that, versus a sort of soulless entity that is government that is just going to look out for government versus the best needs of the people. That's kind of like what the AI would do, right? Like, because the AI would be like, well, we don't think that there's, like, this person isn't viable. They're too far gone. Get rid of them. Like let them go. Like if it was a serious car accident, right? And a human doctor might say, no, I'm not going to do that. Like I'm going to try to fight. And maybe the human doctor's successful, maybe they're not. But that human doctor made the choice. And so Robbie's kind of like, let's not jump to the ability of surrendering our autonomy to a machine. And maybe that's like going a bit further than what the show is presenting, or how they presented Robbie so far. But like to me, that's kind of how it comes across, where Robbie's just like, the hands I trust are our own. So yeah, it really is a fascinating conversation that the show is having without really having it, right? Like it's not like bashing over the heads with it. It's not like two people standing at podiums and having a debate. They're working it a lot more into the subtext of the show. And you can also see like the idea that like the Pit is built off of people making mistakes and learning from it. Like Langdon made a mistake and he's learning from it. Santos, she feels uncomfortable because she feels that she didn't make a mistake in reporting Langdon, but she has to now deal with the fallout of that. All these characters have all these different things that they've done right, things that they've done wrong. Whit, for example, like as dumb as it may seem, had his phone, the ringer on. He's never going to do that again when it comes to taking, when they do the remembrance of an individual. So it's all about, and how you fail, you fall. How do you pick yourself back up? And so I think that's one of the reasons why the show is so good at what it does. But what are your kind of final thoughts on this episode of The Pit and the things we have to look forward to in episode 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
Yeah, I think that this episode was a pretty solid episode for episode 2. Not as strong as episode 1, but it just kind of laid a little foundation of what like is going to be the main obviously, Langdon trying to fit his way back into the Pit. So like we got more progression into that. We're getting more into the heated, kind of I guess rivalry or coexisting between Robbie and Dr. Alashimi, which is like the most important thing. The rest of the other stuff, it's like not as consequential until maybe a little bit later on. So yeah,
I think it was like a building block, right? Like a building block episode. Like you come out the gate, not like gangbusters, which, to be fair to season 1, we didn't know what we didn't know. You know what I mean? Like we didn't know what to expect. So season 1, episode 1, it's like it feels like hitting a home run, or feels like a bomb going off in that sense. Like, oh shit, this is the show. That's not going to be the case the second time around, because you kind of know what coming into the show what it is. So I think like it's just a building block episode, but you need building block episodes even in a 15 episode season. You still need those things. So it's good to have. And you can only keep building. You can only keep ratcheting up that tension and see where it goes. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Clocking In. Chase, tell the people where they can find you, my good sir.
Yeah, you can follow me on X at ChaseDollar68, YouTube.com Around the Point Network, where I talk about wrestling on there, this channel for Pitt, football, and whatever else to be talked about, and True Hill Heat.
And you guys can always catch me here on True Hill Heat Sports Entertainment, talking about everything in the Pit with my guy Chase, breaking down football when we have our true off-season episodes as we build towards another season of True Picks. And you can catch all of our Scream reviews. I was joining Sid for those. You can see the music podcast as well, True Headphone Heat. We did the Fall Off review with J. Cole. We're going to be doing more down the road. So, of course, we want to thank you all for tuning in. And as always, remember, take care of yourselves and each other, and we will catch you